To many of us, the decline in Drake's music is directly tied to the disappearance of his right-hand man. Why do they no longer work with each other like they used to? Is there a secret beef between them? What really happened between Drake and 40? I don't know what I would do if 40 wasn't here. I don't go anywhere without him. Drake said that in 2013, right in the middle of making Nothing Was the Same. For his third album, Noah aka 40 was challenging Drake harder than ever.
My right-hand partner in music creation challenged me on this album to trim the fat, to make a very concise project. It actually gave me a song cap.
That's what people forget when they talk about 40. He wasn't just behind the boards. He was in the room making decisions, steering the ship. That kind of creative pressure and input made 40 much more than just Drake's engineer and producer.
He is not only my friend and not only my partner, but he's also a mentor to me.
40's my road manager, 40's my engineer, 40's been my assistant, 40's been my best friend, 40's been my brother. 40 is everything to me. Without 40, I don't know what I would do or what I'm gonna do.
Two child actors who fell in love with music at a time when nobody took them seriously. Drake was the kid on Degrassi, and 40 had acted on a couple TV shows.
They were sitting couch across from each other. I said, you guys got a lot in common, because they're both child actors. And from there, that relationship that blossomed between them was absolutely brilliant.
Music wasn't supposed to be their thing, but it's what they cared about more than anything else. And when they found each other, something clicked almost immediately. The music they started making together was different, and they had a kind of chemistry you couldn't explain. Not too long after they met, Drake was flown out to Atlanta by Lil Wayne.
I'll never forget the first time I was like, well, look, the way I work is I need 40 here. I remember CJ being like, yo, what? We're gonna book this guy's boy a flight to come there, just tell him to get in the booth with who we got here, why are we booking this boy a flight? But Wayne, Wayne stood up for me and he's like, yo, get him whatever he needs.
From that moment, they went on a 12-year run that ends with Drake being the artist of the decade. From watching them since their early 20s crafting every song together, to seeing that slowly fade over the years, to the point where they're barely in the studio together anymore. That's very sad if you're a fan of what they built. So what actually happened?
Like a personal relationship with him, do you feel like the relationship has changed? I mean, if you're around less clearly.
Yeah, it changes over the years. I think everyone's personal relationships do. So even if I don't talk to him for a few weeks, we don't flinch,
Mm-hmm.
He's in good hands. Noel's a killer, and everything's still moving forward, in a workspace.
Unfortunately, they've only gotten more distant since that interview. A lot of people online think the separation is because of the claim that Pusha T made. After exposing Drake for having a child, he later alleged the information came from 40 through a girl that he was seeing.
The information came from 40. It didn't come from Kanye. 40 is sleeping with a woman. He talks to her daily, 5-6 hours a day.
If this is true, it wouldn't be the first time he'd reveal private information about Drake and OVO. Back in the day, he told academics some things he wasn't supposed to, and was also about to go on Everyday Struggle.
All right, so one of the people we have invited or who wanted to come on the show but things unfortunately didn't work out was 40.
40 canceled, man. He ain't saying things didn't work out. Let's call a fucking spade a spade. That nigga wasn't coming up here. I knew he wasn't coming up here.
Drake didn't like that and had to check him for speaking on private business.
The conversation I had with 40, I probably shouldn't even told y'all. I could tell y'all after that conversation, me and 40, we talked afterwards, and he made sure I wasn't going to say certain parts because, Drake checked him.
But I don't believe it. I don't think that's the real reason. The Pusha T claim could be true, but I think he could have just said it to play mind games with Drake. The real answer is simple and heartbreaking. 40 was diagnosed with MS at 22 years old, and it changed everything.
I woke up one day and one of my legs wasn't quite the same. So I ended up in the hospital probably later that night. And I think that was about a week before my 22nd birthday. And so I ended up being in the hospital, being diagnosed with MS on my birthday.
MS is one of the most unpredictable diseases there is. The kind where some days getting dressed in the morning is genuinely impossible. No 2 days are the same, and there's no way to plan around it.
I couldn't work. I was pretty disabilitated. I was not walking and so on and so forth. Some nights when we work too long, it comes up. He can't work the next day because he has to start walking with a cane when he's recuperating. And I remember when he called me one night, he needed my help because he couldn't get up. He was on the floor and he couldn't get up. That's the only time he's ever called me and asked me for anything. Part is, as I was getting ready, he called me back 30, 40 seconds later and said, "Don't worry about it." He said, don't worry about it, I'm gonna be fine. I was like, nah, man, I'm coming, man, I'm coming. I was like, I'm coming. You never called me before, I'm coming.
Doctors told him he'd be in a wheelchair within 5 years, and the treatment meant to slow it down, put him through pain that was almost as bad as the disease itself.
I used to take an injection 3 times a week. It was horrible, it was horrible. But it made me violently ill for 24 hours. It gave me immunoresponse, right? For 24 hours, I would be bedridden, like couldn't get out of bed. So I went from having a 7-day week to a 4-day week, because I lost 3 days. So like that's how violent that medication was.
That's the reality 40 was living with, while he was still traveling the world, spending sleepless nights in the studio for many years without much rest.
I couldn't walk, so I was in a wheelchair for a bit, then I was heavy on a cane, like stepping 3 inches at a time. Sometimes that episode reoccurs, so I often was walking with a cane for months of the year.
Knowing he had MS actually made him go harder, which didn't help his condition at all. They were setting up studios in different cities, living out of tour buses and barely sleeping, putting in the kind of obsessive work that made Drake who he is today. And in the back of their minds the whole time was 40's condition. It pushed them to go even harder because they knew time wasn't promised. Here's a clip from an MTV documentary where Drake and 40 were finishing their first album.
It's interesting. It's almost like pushing the human body to its extreme limits, you know, and you really realize how far your mind and your energy and your body can stretch before you collapse. A lot of times it escapes me how I'm even still going, you know, and how I'm going to show up in Kansas City after working all night. It's that nonstop, you know. You think you're getting sleep, but the sleep you're getting isn't even really real. Because you're just so exhausted that you're like catching up to tired.
6 years later in 2016, they were still putting in the same amount of work for views. Drake still had the same mindset and dedication.
Like something unpredictable happens where I have to travel, it's just tough. It sounds like doable, but it's tough unless we really are sitting in here. I'm talking about like no life, like we will have no life. So I'm ready though, I really don't have anything I'd rather be doing. I get no bigger joy than like figuring out this puzzle. It's a puzzle, you know?
A lot of you guys have been asking me for the beats I use in these videos. I appreciate the love. If you're interested in them, just email me. Back to the video. Eventually, 40 had to put his health first. He could no longer travel and go on tour with Drake, so Noel, his longtime assistant, stepped in as the main engineer on the road.
Making changes like not being a superstar beside Drake traveling around the world, but taking care of myself and sleeping at an appropriate hour. Hence why I am no longer the engineer, everybody.
Nice.
But yes, that was a difficult decision because although it wasn't mine.
This gave him time to go back home, where he built the state-of-the-art studios, what would become the OVO headquarters, a place that was fully his, somewhere he could work without the physical demands of constant travel.
We're standing in state-of-the-art studios. Sonically, I don't think there's anyone better at what they do than this man, so you can only imagine if he built this from the ground up how it sounds. And I encourage you to go listen to our album and you'll see why it sounds better than everything else, because 40's a genius.
His home was literally at the studio, so he didn't have to go anywhere. And for a while, the timing actually worked in their favor. Drake went back home to Toronto for the first time in years to make views, which meant they could be in the same room again without anyone having to leave.
I thought it was really important to make the album here during the winter. I didn't run away from it. I didn't like go to Miami or LA just because I can. I came here and made the album. When me and 40 lock in, we really lock in and we take it very serious, and it's not some like rush job.
They were able to keep that going for a few more years, but by around 2020, they had to start working remotely. And here's the thing, 40's gift was never really about producing on every track. His gift was his presence. Just the fact that he was there in the room, being brutally honest and pushing Drake in ways no one else can. That was his greatest contribution, beyond just being a musical genius. I'll give you a perfect example. Before Love Now Cry Later even came out, 40 said that it was a good record, but the chorus wasn't infectious enough to dominate.
Are you honest with him about what you think are weaker links on the album? I mean, how do those conversations go?
Like Laugh Now, Cry Later, and it's still yet to be seen what that record is. I told him my read was will be a lot of people's favorite song on the album. It's that good, but I don't think it has as strong of a chorus as say like Hold On We're Going Home, or Controlla, or One Dance, or Hotline Bling, or God's Plan, or like he's got big radio hits that sit at the top of the chart for an extended period of time. I don't necessarily believe Laugh Now, Cry Later is going to sit at the top of the chart for an extended period of time. It might sit there for 5 weeks plus, But that I'd be surprised if anything longer. I'd be surprised even if that. So like I'll go as that far to be critical of a record, you know?
He knew it wouldn't work like Drake's previous singles, and he was completely right. That willingness to say this isn't good enough for our standards, that's what Drake lost when 40 stopped being in the room. For Certified Lover Boy, he mixed and added onto the production after the fact, but he wasn't really locked in like the previous albums. The records he did fully produce on the record are notably some of the best on there, and that tells you everything you need to know. After that album, they started working way less.
I still do all the things that I've sort of always done with and for Drake from the very beginning. The only difference is I just do it from a distance now.
Yo, you want me to just play it and you can tell me where you want the ad-lib to go?
What's that, the okay?
Yeah.
So it goes here. Okay.
Oh, okay, done, got you.
When I let go of being his engineer always, and then Noel took that position, that's when I was able to remain here and not have to follow him around the world at all times, right?
Was it hard to let go?
100%, it was the hardest thing ever to let go.
Honestly, Nevermind hardly had any of 40's touches outside of mixing and rounding up the songs at the end. Same as Her Loss and anything else Drake dropped after that.
Our brother 40, he hasn't been feeling well lately. I don't know if you know much about 40, but you know 40's been sick for a long time in his life. So what I want you to do is just take a moment. Let's just make some noise, show some love to our brother 40. Of course, we love him when you.
I'm guilty of criticizing Drake's lack of passion and quality in his newer music without really seeing what's been happening behind the scenes. Drake no longer has the man he built his catalog with, and he always said he never saw himself doing it without him. That loss is bigger than what people give it credit for, because 40 was the person keeping Drake accountable long before any of the success arrived.
Drake is unstoppable because no one can tell him no, because he knows he's got me. When nobody believed it was gonna happen, I was telling people it was gonna happen. And I believed it enough to quit my job and spend money I didn't have. There was a lot going on, and I knew I couldn't remember it all. I was like, I better start recording this. I was like, I'm not gonna keep a journal, so I might as well just buy a camera and start taping it. And it happened, and I got the footage to prove it, all the way from day one.
When Drake was spending money they didn't have, renting cars, trying to keep up with appearances, 40 was the one calling him out on not focusing on the music. Drake would show up late to sessions because he was with a girl, and one time 40 literally kicked him out the studio. He told him to go home, get his head right, and come back the next day ready to actually work. That's how much he believed in Drake. That kind of partner is literally irreplaceable.
It's funny, I had pretty good intuition knowing how far Drake could potentially go as an artist, but I never had the same thoughts for myself or imagined that I'd be here today.
So it makes sense that Drake has also reached his limits.
That's the same with Drake. I learned when I hang with him, when I started hanging with him, he rarely listens to music, versus except for like when he's recording, you know?
Yeah.
In his daily life.
That's a sign of a man who no longer has any desire to get better. The hunger that once made him obsessive about sound, about lyrics, about staying ahead, it's not there anymore. Music just isn't the focal point of Drake's life like it once was, and us as fans still wanting the same Drake is asking for a lot. He's done everything. He's literally broken every record worth breaking. When it's all said and done, they did it. Two child actors who nobody took seriously turned themselves into some of the greatest of all time. The music will live on forever.